panel discussion today. Reevaluating higher education in the current climate, embracing digital advancements for brighter prospects. We have panelists named Elora Basumatary, Director, Universal Business School, Mumbai, India, the moderator of the session today. Poonam Heryani, Associate Dean, Exeed College, Sharjah. Mohamed Alshami, Professor and Dean, College of Economics and Management, Qasimia University, Sharjah. Dr. Sambashiva D, Director, Research and Development Cell, Nizam College, Osmania University, Hyderabad. Dr. Fatima Beena Haider, Faculty and Program Lead, Strategic and Digital Marketing, Montfort, University, Dubai. I welcome all our esteemed panelists to kindly join on stage for the next panel discussion, Re-evaluating Higher Education in the Current Climate, Embracing Digital Advancements for Brighter Prospects. Professor Dr. M.N. Brohi, Campus Director, Bath, SPA University, Dubai. Please. So I hand over the stage to Ms. Elora Basumatary, Director, Universal Business School, Mumbai, India, the moderator of this session today.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests and my fellow educators. I'm very happy to be discussing with you all today, along with my fellow panel members, on the topic of re-evaluating the higher education in the current climate and embracing digital advancement for better prospect. So before we start the panel discussion, I will request my panel members to briefly introduce themselves. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Professor Dr. M.N. Brohi. I'm the campus director of the Bath University, Ras Al Khaimah. I'm here in the US since last 22 years. I have completed my 35 years in academic and research. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It was wonderful to hear all the esteemed panelists ahead of us. And I'm Poonam Heryani. I'm Associate Dean of Exeed College. We are part of Westward Education Group. And I have been in education for the last 35 years, in UAE for the last 35 years, and my journey has been interesting. I started as a school teacher, and now I'm into higher education space. And after 35 years, I still question myself, are we on the right path? Are we doing the right thing? Educating the children for the future, and training the teachers to educate the children of the future. Thank you.
Hello. Professor Mohamed Alshami. I am the Dean of College of Economics and Management, Qasimia University in Sharjah, UAE. 28 years in education sector, teaching and administrative roles. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon to all. This is Dr. Sambashiva. I am the Director for Research and Development Cell, Nizam College, Osmania University, Hyderabad, India. So I am in this education field since 2007. So it's more than 15 years of service in the education system. And apart from this position, my regular position is that I am the head of the department, Biotechnology, Osmania University, Hyderabad. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Probably I'm the last obstacle. All of us are the last obstacle between you and your lunch. Sorry for that. Thank you so much, World Education Summit 2023 organizing team, for having us all here for this discussion, insightful one. I hope we can deliver what is expected from us. I'm Dr. Fatima Beena. Right now I take care of all the master's programs in the Montfort University, Dubai. It's a UK university which has started its operation since last 2 years. I've been into education industry, into academics since last 23 years. I hope it'll give you some food for thought to guess my age. But this is my 23rd running year in education and academic industry. So I look forward for some insightful discussion today on how to embed digitization into education sector. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, my panel members. I was listening the previous panel discussions, and I observed, an underlying theme like challenges faced and technology, how it can help us, in higher education to make it more inclusive more, development of skills, and I think our topic is directly related to what other people were discussing on the periphery, but I think this is how it is. Now, if we look at technology, and it's been fueling education, that's a given, but I think in the last few years, the pandemic hit us big time, and I think that has really changed our perspective, especially so in the higher education. We have noticed that, we have to adapt and we have to transform to the changing needs and the requirements of the students, and I think the workforce as well. And the traditional teaching and learning model ain't gonna work anymore, and we have to really adopt this model and transform it, and we have to evolve and embrace technology to help us create a more effective teaching learning model. And as we see that, technological advancement, if we embrace it as a higher education institution, some of the points that come to my mind is that it can make education more accessible. It can give flexibility to students who were in the periphery before, did not have access to higher education due to physical challenges, maybe because of the geographies, right? And also, I think it can create a more, personalized experiences for learners, okay? And at the same time, it can be very cost-effective for the institutions and the students as well. So I will now request my, fellow panel members. We can start from Dr. Fatima. What are her thoughts or experiences on these 4 points, to start with? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I don't think so. Technology's marriage with education industry is something which is new. We have been using the most advanced and digital tools and aids to deliver the content to our students in education industry and academics. So there's nothing new we are talking about. It's just the transformation is taking place in today's time. We are talking more post-pandemic about the transformation which is happening, but we need to understand that there is a process in which it has taken place. The first step is that you have to have digital competency, and then you also you should know how to use those competencies. The second process or step is how we are using and embedding those technological aids in our education industry. And then comes the transformation part. So we have been discussing about digital transformation in education industry and other industries as well. The most important part is that, are we fully equipped to get into this transformation? That's something which is important and which I want our panel members to shed some light on, as to are we fully prepared? Because there's a lot of confusion. We were pushed to adapt technology in a more vigorous way during pandemic. But technology is something which we have been using. Like, we have been using a lot of technological tools and aids in education, and it has helped us immensely. As far as the reach and connect is concerned, yes, it has immensely helped us during the pandemic years when we shifted from face-to-face and physical imparting of education to the digital platforms and digital aids. So as far as the reach is concerned, the ease of availability is concerned, yes, it has transformed the industry in many ways, but there are also challenges which we came across during these 2 years of pandemic, and that's what is pretty challenging, and it's pretty scary to take it ahead from here. So definitely, yes, there are quite a few, advantages of technological embedment in education industry, but there are quite a few challenges also, and to the extent, or you can say we are on a verge of almost like entering into a virtual world, where we, as educationists, sometimes I feel and I introspect that, are we exactly aware as to whatever skills we are providing to our students in whatever way? Are we preparing them for something which we don't even know as to what will the market look like in the next 10 years or 20 years down the line? So the way the technology is progressing and the advancements are happening in both the market and the education, are we actually working towards the employability, and to what extent we are exploiting technology and making use of it?
This is a quite complex part to discuss on this one. Basically, I am from government institution, a government university. Before pandemic, the most of the private organizations in India and some central universities in India, they are having the awareness about digital transformation, digital education patterns. But if you see that the education system in India is very huge market, and the government institutions, most of the government schools, institutions are run by the state governments. So lack of infrastructure and digitalization and financial support to the educational institution in India is a big hurdle to adapt the digital era, digital mode of learning. If you see particularly, we do accept that the digital education is going to play a crucial role, but the private organizations adopt this kind of technology and they will be top in the market. But when it comes to the government institutions, the most of the students are from the rural background. They are very talented, but due to lack of infrastructure facility in our institutions, because as of this digital platform is not that much integrated in our academic curricula. So in our academic curriculum, we always try to give share the knowledge in the classroom teaching traditional methods only. Still, the most of the departments, most of the institutions follow the traditional methodology only. But as a researcher, I strongly believe that the digital education definitely going to rule the education system in higher education especially. We should not go completely digital education. We must integrate the digital education up to some certain extent only. Because we are seeing today, we are witnessing the importance of ChatGPT. Everyone is saying that ChatGPT and AI. Do you really think that tomorrow it will question our sustainability also? It will question our existence in the higher education system. The educators will have no role in tomorrow's education system because everything is automated, machine learning. Suppose example, the University of Florida example is offering one particular course. If all private organization, private institution can adopt the same academic curricula and one educator or one robo can monitor the entire scenario of the same concept. So that means we must, what I mean to say is, we must restrict the involvement of digital education in the higher education. Otherwise, definitely it will question our existence in future. So we'll discuss more about this one. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Sambashiva. I think you came out with two very critical points that higher education faces today is the digital poverty. I think the concept of digital poverty is very real, especially in places like India and in Africa. So I think that is one thing we can take up a little later on the discussion. And another thing is the ChatGPT and the so-called and all the transformers that are coming up, okay, lining up, and which questions the very the integrity of knowledge creation when it comes to higher education. So I think that we'll take it up in a little bit. But first, I would like to listen to Dr. Mohammed's take on the topic, the main topic.
Yeah, thank you. I think here we are in UAE, comparing with what my colleagues is sharing with us, that we are lucky with having the access to the internet. But still, I'm just sharing with you what we are struggling with our students by using this type of access to the internet. First of all, that's the interactions between the instructors and the students becoming less. So this is one of the big concerns. And many students are depending on everything that's just only Googling. And today we are talking about the intelligence, artificial intelligence, and they cannot distinguishing between the right piece of information and also any type of information. This is one. And I found that my students becoming more lazy comparing with the normal classes, which of course, am with the full support of the technology, but still, there's some, gaps. One of the issues is maybe related to from the the instructors themselves. There are many people who are taking the new technology, but their mindset is still with the old system. So just only they are getting some, going to the new applications and they're trying to adopt that according to what's in their mind. And that creating a gap and to get the benefit of the new technology. And also we're still having problems with the students who are misusing the technology, cheating in the exams, for example. Today I received a piece of information that we are using, giving a code for students during midterm exams, and somebody take that code and send it to somebody outside the campus and solve the exams for him or for her. So those big concerns which we are really facing, but of course that's the huge and the very impressive access to information. It's the positive side, but still a lot of things should be done to help for those issues which is creating a big challenges in this part. Thank you.
Ms. Poonam.
Thank you. Quite thought-provoking, all your insights. So we are actually looking at re-evaluating how do we embed digitization in higher education and whether it's worth its salt. So I would like to go back, I think about 10 years back, I was presenting at JES and we were looking at the future of education. And I came across this article by the futurist Thomas Frey, who mentioned that by 2030, 85% of the jobs that we see today are going to be redundant. And I was thinking to myself, really, is it possible? Then came 2020, and I saw what Thomas Frey predicted coming, to life. You could see so many people being retrenched, being laid off, things getting automated because companies were digitizing their processes, and the basic factual kind of jobs were the ones which were menial were getting outdated. So that brought the question back to me was like, what are we doing in education, as in higher education? Because the responsibility on us is so much more that we have got the generations from the schools, and then we are preparing them for the future. So schools is one side, we can debate it all day. Into higher education, how are we preparing the current generation for the skills and the competencies and the knowledge that we just discussed in the panels prior to us? The fact is, today, more than 1.5 million children are homeschooled. And post-2020, these numbers are increasing. And these children learners are from across different age groups, right? So somewhere I think because there is this clash between the digital thinking, which the smartphones and smart devices and technology and digitization has brought into the system, into society, and the old school ideology that we all have embedded, are entrenched in our being, in our core values, which we are not letting go. Like, we are kind of scared and we are kind of contemplating how to do it. And I think somewhere within that, we are kind of making ourselves redundant because people are taking the reins in their own hands to plan their own future. And what is the future of higher education? Do we see 4 years of undergrad course, or 3 years of undergrad course, 2 years of master's course, and PhDs going forward? Do we see that really? I know from my colleagues back in India that UGC is not looking at PhDs as in academia to teach the courses, because they feel that the industrial expertise should be exchanged within the higher education sector. So somewhere I think we need to kind of change our thinking, our ideology, our approach to learning, so that we can embrace digitalization, and also there are a lot of obstacles, barriers, which my colleague just mentioned, but I think within those, there are plenty of opportunities that we can see and look at and learn from there and make the education, higher education in particular, more relevant to the society. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think, thank you, Poonam. I think you raise another very important perspective of this particular topic. Like, technologies are not panacea, and we have to be really careful, while implementing them, while adapting them, so that they create more involved learning experiences for all stakeholders, rather than, replacing the way we have been doing things. So I think that's a very important point. Okay, now I'll hand over the mic to Dr. Brohi for his opinion.
Thank you. Actually, our major theme is reevaluating higher education. The question is why we are talking about the reevaluating higher education. We are talking about the digitalization, technological digitalization. If you see, these are the two different terms, technology and digitalization. Technology, it could be anything. Everything is coming under the technology. If you see the history of the technology is the history of the human being, because the first tool made by stones. Now, actually, the reason is, nowadays, the best example of the higher education is, if you see the first, higher education institution established in 11th and 12th century in Italy. That was the year of 1088, 11th century. Nowadays, we are in 21st century, is almost 1,000 years. At that time, they were using the different teaching methodologies and the tools. Like if you see, they were using the whiteboards, chalks, and different things. But nowadays, we guys are using smart technologies. The best example of this one is, like in UAE, Hamdan Smart University is there. Hamdan Smart University is completely technology-based university is there. Other than that one, recently, like the UAE government, they announced digitalization. And if you remember, in UAE, completely now is the paperless work is there. Why we are talking about these things? If you see, in the 20th century, 18th century, if the people, they were thinking about their higher studies, where UK, USA, Australia, the major challenge was the distance, travel. You must go to join that university. But because of the digitalization, now distance is nothing. You can study, you can join any university by sitting inside your home in any environment. This is the major advantage of the digitalization is there. Technology basically is the facilitator. Technology is supporting us. The recent example was like pandemic 19 was there. Now everything was completely blocked. The people were completely upset what to do, how we can send our kids to the universities, schools. But because of the digitalization, in academics, there was the zero effect was there. So the digitalization basically is a concept of the reducing the physical distance, reducing the cost of the technologies by implementing these all things. No need to travel to the different countries globally. And by sitting your home, you can earn the degrees. And the other thing is, yes, even like in the first session, there was a discussion of the assessments are there. Now, because of the technology, here I would like to quote one quotation of the very famous Greek philosopher Plato. Plato says the necessity is the mother of invention. But now in this era, I'm completely rejecting that quotation. Now in this era, I would say necessity is not a mother of the invention, but actually is the laziness is the mother of the invention. What is the concept of the laziness? Because nowadays people are thinking how to switch on AC without physical movement. This technology nowadays, this digital technology, in my words, I'm using, this is called ghost technology. Ghost technology is there. People were talking about the ghost. I say, yes, come, I'm going to show you the ghost. See, there is no light. Without touching switch, you can on your light. Without touching the door of your car, you can open the door of the car. What is this? This is the digital technology is there. It means everything is based on your nature. And that your nature is basically, that is the concept of the laziness is there. Nowadays, the young generation, youth, right? They are so lazy. They are not interested to calculate 20 by 27 by using pens and the pencils. Yes, disadvantages are there, but also advantages are there. So because of that, yes, the more advantages, the cost as well as the distance of this one. So we have to follow this technology, and its major output is technological convergence is there. This technological convergence is in the shape of your mobile phone is there. Now just you have one mobile phone, okay, you are anywhere, you can attend your classes, you can solve your assignments, you can solve your research work, you can attend the conferences, workshop by using only one device. And that's the mobile phone is there. Inside that one, camera is there. Inside that one, audio, video recorder is there. Everything is there.
Thank you, Dr. Brohi, for your opinion on the topic. Let's focus on the topic once again. We are trying to discuss on embracing digital advancement in order to create a brighter prospect. And that's what makes me come back to Dr. Sambashiva's point of digital poverty, how we can create a more inclusive higher education. What are your thoughts on this? How government can help us? How we can collaborate as higher education institutions and of course foreign bodies? How can we bring in more inclusiveness in higher education, sir?
Thank you for the question. I have some kind of insights for this one. We have to minimize the digitalization of the education system. Suppose example, because once the digitalization came up, we can't restrict the digitalization developments and technology developments. But we can restrict the students' entry towards digitalization. Example, if you make them to understand what is the importance of the digitalization in their curriculum up to some extent. Suppose example, when you design the academic curriculum, the concepts in India as per the new education policy that was mentioned earlier in the previous panel, now all universities are adopting the new education policy guidelines in India. In that, our government of India made crystal clear that the course syllabus, the course subject area should be taught up to 60% only. The remaining 40% is multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary approach. So it clearly states that we must make the students to learn about the digitalization importance, like the knowledge sharing and participating in the digital classroom and interacting with the other university students, exposing themselves to with other students, so they can develop the thought process and they can develop the communication, they can design the problems. So like that, the digitalization should be there, must be incorporated academic curricula, but we must to restrict to up to certain extent only. Because if they adopt the digitalization module, tomorrow they will not turn up to the college. Suppose example, if my university is offering the courses, everything online, So the students will not come to the college. They will sit in the home, sitting on the bench. He listen to all the classes. He will give the assignments, and he'll get the marks. That's it. He'll get the award, the degree. Then what about the skills? How he upskill his knowledge? There should be mentoring. A continuous mentoring should be taken in higher education system to minimize the digital education and digital era integration in higher education.
Thank you, Dr. Sambashiva. What about your opinion, Dr. Fatima or Mr. Mohamed? No?
After listening to all the panelists, sometimes it makes me feel discussing digitization into academics that I'm coming from a stone age. Because I remember when I was doing my schooling, the way the attendance was taken, the way we take the attendance today, is somewhat we see as to how we have transformed ourselves over a period of time. So when I enter my class in today's time, I mean, my students have already marked their attendance online. So even if I'm there for the class, I'm not there for the class, the students are there for the class, sitting physically in the class, or they are somewhere walking in the corridor or sitting in the library, they can still mark their attendance. So that's the dark side of technology usage and embedding of technology into education. The basic problem which I understand is to why we need to reevaluate, because people are trying to read it completely wrong in the way how we are using technology in education sector, in imparting education. If you're using it as an aid, yes, it is very helpful. Sometimes we do need to take help of technology in terms of like, if there are certain students, I mean, in today's time, I'll just give a small example. There are students who were suffering from quite a few things, and there were certain protocol requirements when you were tested positive, you can't attend classes, when we literally opened up after COVID. So thank God we are using Blackboard, so we have recorded classes. So when I was taking classes physically, I was also recording my lectures, and it was uploaded on the Blackboard for the students' reference, for those who were not there, who were not able to attend the classes physically. So if I take technological advancement and how we are using technology to aid and help students in imparting education, yes, it was very good. But some people interpret it, as per my understanding, people think that technology is completely taking away the human touch and the human element in education industry. So technology completely cannot. So it's basically, we have to understand its human psyche as to how we are using digitization and digitalization in education industry. It's not kind of replacement of anything which we are doing, which we have been doing since ages. It is just that how we are using the technology to make the education or to make the student experience or learning experience better. So that's my understanding. So of course, there are certain good things, certain benefits, which comes with its own set of challenges. So we need to strike a balance as to how and up to what extent we are embedding technology into education. Not every kind or type of education can be done. See, if you have to deliver a workshop, it has to be a workshop. How effective an online workshops will be. Plus, because the information is available, there's a galaxy of information available which can be accessed by anyone. But when it comes to like credible information, then there's a problem. The students, there's so much which is available online. So if the student is not even attending the classes, they still have enough information which can make them write the exams and also pass the exam. But what is the credibility of the resources from which these information is coming on? So where are we drawing that line to this extent that we have to use digital aids and we always use Turnitin for submitting the assessments. These are just, live examples, what we come across in our day-to-day lives, what we are facing as educators. And there are certain, apps which are restricted and prohibited for students used, like Grammarly. This is how we are using technology in academics and education industry. Imagine if the student is getting a transcript checked or run through Grammarly. So there will be no, you can say grammatical error in the transcript. There are so many free online softwares available for the students to check their similarity report and before they upload it internally. So if this is the way we are using technology, then how far we can go in terms of imparting quality education. So as an academician, as an educator, working for education industry, I think it's time where we need to sit and discuss where is the line. What is the limit to what extent we have to use these digital or digitization or maybe technology in education industry. And that's why we are here to actually talk on why is the need to reevaluate, just because I think it's heading in a wrong direction altogether.
Thank you, Dr. Fatima. I think what started out or emerged from Ms. Poonam's speech on this particular topic, I think you have, underlined it, made it bold, like, where to draw the line, how much digitalization to accept. That makes me, come to a question or a ponder, right? I have been observing that people are telling that if we adopt, digitalization, if we have this learning analytics these days, many colleges and institutes of higher learning are using it, and as artificial intelligence, to give a very personalized insights into each student. And in fact, earlier in the morning, I was talking to one of the attendees, and he was sharing how they are capturing the facial expression of the students over a period of time, and can say whether they are depressed, they are sad, they are stressed. Okay, besides other strengths and weaknesses of those students, and then they can do a very focused approach to having improved the student outcome. But given both of your points, is it to improve the student outcome or to cross the personal space, right? So that is, I think, one thing we need to ponder on, and anybody else would like to share other points? Yes.
Yeah, actually the concept of technology is connecting minds from the globally. Because of digitalization now, it's very easy for you. You can connect any one professor. Even you can attend any class in anywhere in the world. Like at present, the latest concept of the metaverse is there. If you see, the metaverse is the 3D is there. It means there is if you see, there is no physical distance between the teachers and the students. You can learn. Other than this one, if you see, the cloud is there. In the cloud, you can access any lab anywhere in the world, right? No need physically to travel somewhere. So these technologies are there in the higher education mostly, because the higher education is a concept of the mostly is the research is there. And obviously without the research, even a country's economy is not possible to grow. So these are the major, actually, the advantages of the technologies.
So if I might just add to what everyone shared today, is somewhere when we are looking at digitization, there are barriers, yes. Then there is a lot of talk about mental health and mental well-being and physical health. There's a perception that digitization brings in isolation. So as academicians and curriculum developers and designers, I think need to look at, and the people who are working with pedagogies and strategies need to look at how they can work on student engagement on digital platforms, how they can embed various apps which are available to help students interact, like brick and mortar is just going out of fashion. In US, UK, and all these countries, universities are not seeing the kind of numbers of students coming in. Now they are more welcoming international students from Middle Eastern, Asian, and South Asian countries, because within their countries, the students are not wanting to join universities because they do not see any purpose in it. So somewhere it's going to percolate down to other countries as well. So before that happens, I think we were in a transition state before 2020, whether or not to embrace digitization and technology within education space, whether school or higher ed. But post 2020, I think all of us have had this understanding and experience firsthand that the importance of digitization is very, very relevant. It has to be embraced. The only question is how we can make the isolation part turn into collaboration, how we can engage students effectively to help with their mental well-being and physical health. Also, if you see, a lot of these countries are now inviting youngsters, new Gen Z, with nomad visas, right? So if you can prove to those countries that you have X number of dollars coming into your account, you are given a nomad visa, and after that you can get the citizenship. How amazing is that? And so many youngsters whom I interact with, they say, well, I can, sit there in some European spot, and I can teach or I can consult with whoever in whichever part of the world. Likewise, we have in our teacher training courses people coming from Vietnam on digital spaces, exchanging their best practices, experiences, how they are trying to, our generation, embrace all of this, and how we are learning from the younger generation on how to input the skills that are needed to understand from our experience and integrate into the curriculum going forward. Somebody was mentioning the CLOs and the learning outcomes. What about reflective thinking? And somewhere I think we have forgotten to learn with the plethora of resources available, all kinds of modalities, like you have videos, podcasts, books. So the positive is resources can be available through digitization at the click of the button. You don't have to visit libraries. You don't have to waste your time on all of that. So somewhere I think we have to look at the criticality of all these aspects and understand how digitization will really help us going forward and make us the future generation more competent.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes, please, Mr. Mohamed.
Just to add small things that we know how the new technology making our life very flexible, and how our students are cooperating, and also we have, engaged in exchanging ideas with. We have some cooperations with some institutions. So. But an important point, which is the intervention of instructors, is still important. We have, I'm talking from the background from the administrative point of view, from as a dean or as a acting vice chancellor, or sometimes supervising some activities. If the instructor is not intervening and following up with all things related to the student, just only depending on the technology, it might, create some type of other problems. I noticed just only an example. This happened last week. There was an assignment that had been given to the students with some other students from other institutions in the West. It's about analysis some financial crisis and about the expectations of the 2023 expectations of rate of growth globally. Some students, they went to search in the internet and they brought information from the financial crisis of 2008, and just only pasting things, information, all the information with all the analysis. If the system is gonna to grade the assignment, so nobody will discover the mistakes or the issues, which is some students, they are thinking that they are doing the right thing. So I think still, with the technology, it's an important to be careful as to intervene, to supervise, to follow up, not to let everything with the students. Our students this generation is becoming very lazy. He or she wants only to submit the assignment as soon as possible. There is no critical thinking. There is no careful, or giving questions, which is, usually in the normal classes, it might be there. So I think it's a good thing to have that thing, but still there is a gap of the technology itself to help us to discover the mistakes. Sometimes you might go to a piece of information and it's mislated with the dates. You will find that the date of that information is recently 2023, while that piece of information came from 20 years ago. But people, they want to have, especially with the videos and with some, links, just to have more, people following up with them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mohamed, on your thoughts. So far the discussion has been more focused on the learners, on the students' side when we are evaluating the higher education in the current climate. But I think, what does it mean for us educators, the faculty, the teachers? Like when the global pandemic hit us, personally, I had to really learn fast, adapt technology and how to make it engaging. When there is only a black screen and most of the students will switch off their camera, I really don't know if they're there or not there, how difficult it has been. So, I think it makes us ponder now, and one of the panelists, in the earlier panel discussion said that, 20th century faculty are teaching the 21st century students for skills. So that makes me come to a question like, faculty need reskilling, and in higher education, with the advanced digitalization. So what are your thoughts on this, my fellow panel members? Anyone?
During pandemic, just how we face the problems, just I'm explaining you. Particularly the Telangana state is a pride of the nation now, because we know that during COVID, we produced the co-vaccine, and so how the Hyderabad played a crucial role in the COVID-19 duration. But when it comes to the classroom teaching, we adopted the online classroom teaching. But in our institution, especially the Nizam College, 135 years old institution, the most of the students are from the rural backgrounds. So when we introduced the online teaching for them, the most of the students are not willing to join online classes. The thing is that the technology that what we are having is not supported their devices. And suppose if a student attends 2 classes or 3 classes, 3 hours, the most of the data is over. Whatever the next classes. When you evaluated them during the examination, the most of the students told us that, sir, you adopted the digital classroom teaching methodology on the Zoom platforms, right? Do you think that really our parents are capable to support financially to learn the classroom method by the online platforms? This is a question raised by the most of the students in our institution. See, adopting the technology, we are not resisting that. But at the same time, we must minimize this adoption. Suppose as example, we must made our curriculum towards the digitalization at to 20% only. Suppose an example, we give a problem to the student and we must assess them, we must ask them to that, find out the solution for this problem by collaborating with some other university students or other faculty. So automatically they will adopt the digital importance, one point. Second point is that it is easy to say that digitalization is there. When ground reality really, the nations are supporting the digital education system in our higher education. The higher education, the government should take initiation for the importance of digital education in their academic curricula. So the policy need to be changed. Some of the, recently I heard from my state that one university is saying that the robotic study, robotic academic curricula, like the robotic surgery happening in the hospitals right now, that means the robots will teach them. So I am a little bit scared that what happens to the higher education next then. Because the higher education means the students will have 20 years plus age group. So once they adopt the digitalization, digital era, they will never come to the universities also. Because I can hire a company that who gives the degree online, so they can join the online courses and they can get the degree and they can join in my firm. So digital education is important, but the re-evaluation plays a crucial role here. How to re-evaluate the students' knowledge when they are exposing to the digital education. The re-evaluation plays a crucial role. So we must develop a parameters of revaluation, assessing their knowledge, and giving them degree is a very, very crucial in upcoming fields, upcoming years. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sambashiva. Ms. Poonam, you would like to add to the reskilling point of faculty? Because I have been requested to close the discussion 5 minutes time.
I think we all kind of out of experience and we have shared our thoughts. So just that through the digitization, and I've heard a lot about evaluation and assessments, and I think and standardized testing, earlier panel had discussed about that. I think somewhere ACT has gone out of the window. SAT is no more required. They are looking at, because my son is right now completing his undergrad and going for the master's program. So I know what's happening on that side and what is working and what's not working. And so I think there are a lot of things which are kind of being done away with, and which was thought that it's mandatory, it cannot be changed. Board exams, GCIs and IGCSEs and all cannot be done away with. Pandemic taught us it can be done away with, right? The only thing is how we educate children using the digitized curriculum. Also looking at Maslow's, which is very, very important, Maslow's theory, and also Bloom's taxonomy on the higher end. If we go from bottom to high, we will never survive. I don't think we all will be redundant by the time. And the digitized version of Bloom's taxonomy was available, I think, about 15 years back. So if we refer to that and see how we contextualize it with what we are discussing today through the day, I think we'll get our answers there.
Yeah. Thank you, all my panel members, for a very insightful discussion on the topic of reevaluating the higher education in the current climate and embracing digital transformations for brighter prospects. I think we can all come together and collaborate to create a more inclusive higher education system, a more flexible and personalized learning. Thank you, audience, for patiently hearing us.